Welcome back to the Trading Alliance. I haven't posted a video in ages and I'm so sorry about that. A lot's been going on. We are expecting another baby to add on to the addition of my two already beautiful little girls, so I'm super excited about that. This video is going to be really exciting, a lot of interesting juicy stuff to talk about. Blackrock's next move, the collapse of FTX, the impending regulations on crypto, as well as a Wycoffian perspective on Bitcoin. This analysis is going to be, it's going to provide a lot of clarity for people on the potential direction of Bitcoin based on institutional order flow, Wycoff, and from a retail perspective. So I think you will gain a lot of benefit from watching this video. I'll leave timestamps below, so if you want to get straight into the Bitcoin analysis, you can skip straight to that in the timestamps. So without further said or ado, let's get into it. The whales and the big institutions, BlackRock in particular, are incredibly bullish on crypto. While most of retail at the moment is shitting in their pants, thinking crypto is going to zero, they've already sold out on all of their positions for a loss. The institutions are buying the dip. They are bullish as fuck. Apologies for my language. The next generation BlackRock CEO reveals $8 trillion funds huge crypto prediction after the crash. Bitcoin and crypto's blockchain technology allows traditional assets to be tokenized on a public ledger, potentially making the transfer of anything from stocks, bonds, real estate, and alternative investments like art cheaper and easier. I actually believe this technology is going to be very important, Fink said. Think about instantaneous settlements of bonds and stocks with no middleman. We are going to bring down fees even more dramatically. Think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem. Now, the CEO of BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager with around 8 trillion in asset under management that signed a major Coinbase deal earlier this year, has predicted that blockchain technology will usher in a new generation for market. The next generation for securities will be the tokenization of securities. So if we think about it, all of the biggest institutions that were previously very skeptical on crypto have now jumped in at full force and are accumulating and are very, very excited about the capacity and the potential for this technology, as all crypto enthusiasts are as well. But in saying that and speaking in terms of regulation, as much as it pains me to say, as a crypto enthusiast myself, I do believe that cryptocurrencies and blockchain as a whole will be regulated, and it does need to be regulated based on the history of what we've seen in the past 5 years and how many millions and billions of dollars people have lost as a consequence to no regulation. I know you're going to hate me for saying this because it goes against the decentralized nature of cryptocurrency, but there is no denying what we have seen in the market and how many people have lost lots and lots of money due to no regulations. US Senator John Bosman says Bitcoin, although a cryptocurrency, is a commodity in the eyes of the SEC. He stressed that the exchanges where Bitcoin is traded must be regulated, and the Commodity Futures Trading Division is the right regulator for the crypto spot market. The senator proceeded to talk about crypto regulation and empowering the Commodities Futures Trading Commission as the primary regulator. Calling the FTX collapse shocking, the senator said public reports suggest a complete lack of risk management, conflicts of interest, and misuse of customer funds. The choice not to regulate leaves consumers at the mercy of those who will prey on them. I personally have never been a big fan of the idea of crypto being regulated, but speaking as someone who lost money on the collapse of Luna and the collapse of FTX, I can definitely see and understand why it needs to happen. Some form of regulation would also allow blockchain technology to become superior than ever and expand its potentiality. Okay, enough with the boring stuff. Let's jump straight into the Bitcoin analysis. Okay, here we have the Bitcoin weekly chart, and I really want to break this down quite as simply as I can to try and give as much people as I can direction on possibilities of where Bitcoin could be heading in the next weeks, days, and months, and potentially even the next year. Okay, so I'm going to begin talking about an institutional perspective based on the order flow of banks, hedge funds, and what have you. Okay, so firstly we're going to talk smart money. Okay, so let's analyze this from the left side to the right side, going back as early as 2020, because on Bybit, this is the earliest data that I have to work with. Okay, you can see we had a monstrous bull run, a monstrous rally, okay, continuously putting in bullish market structure and not really giving most people an entry to enter if they were looking at a high time frame perspective, okay, leaving a lot of demand zones, demand zone, demand zone, also leaving a lot of liquidity, okay? One thing we also did was left a shit ton of imbalances. We rallied all the way to 69,000, leaving an equal high, a shit ton of liquidity at the top before breaking intermediary structure, coming back up, sweeping that liquidity, okay? This was at all-time high of, 69,138. This rally above the highs was nothing more than a sweep of liquidity for a move lower. Okay, then we had an intermediary change of character. Okay, the minor trend was broken here. We were blessed with an entry on this supply zone before continuing lower and breaking structure. Okay, we broke the major trend at 28,000. Then we broke structure again, smashing through all of this demand in here. Okay. Now, the thing is, we have not come back up to mitigate this area of supply, okay? We were blessed no entry for continuation to the downside. From a high time frame macro perspective, we may still get an entry here, and I'll talk about that based on the patterns we're seeing down here at the lows. Firstly, I want to talk about the fact that we have broken through this demand zone here, okay? And as you can see, we have a shit ton of imbalances in here that may need to be filled. So the next potential area for a bounce will be down near this global point of control as well as this demand zone. Okay, this weekly level as well as this area of demand is incredibly important to hold for the continuation of Bitcoin. Okay, because if we do lose this level, the next level we will see is down here at about 10,000, and we will get there quick. One thing I want to mention, and this is very important and why I think we may get an entry up here to continue going down at the prices of 29 to 32,000, is the pattern that we are seeing down here in the very lows, okay? Perspective as well as a Wycoffian perspective for a move higher to only then take us lower, okay? What do I mean by that? Okay, so there's a potential Wycoffian redistribution pattern playing in here. We have our selling climax, our automatic reaction, our secondary test, our SOS, our STB, and this is looking a lot like our spring. Okay, so the way of the footprint of this pattern at least is usually after our spring, we get a move up to grab all the liquidity from above the SOS, creating a UTAD, dropping down, retesting that last point of supply before continuing down. Okay, now remember, there is no guarantees to this. Just because there is a pattern potentially in play doesn't mean that it has to happen. Okay, this is all about probabilities and institutional order flow footprint. Okay, so if this does happen, it will allow us a great entry short of this level of supply. Okay, now this could take months to play out, but what will happen and what I can guarantee is that once we get above these levels of 25,000, all of retail, everyone on YouTube, everybody on Twitter will be talking about how the bull run is back on and about how we are going straight back up to all-time highs. Okay, this will pull in all retail liquidity only to mitigate these areas of supply and continue us down. Okay, so the trading alliance will be looking to go short in these levels. What I want to talk about now is more of a retail perspective and the confluence that will potentially get us this entry to go short. So going back all the way to 2020, very bullish market structure, high lows, high high, high low, high high, equal lows, creating a double bottom, probably some divergence on your indicators, high low, high high, and we also had a head and shoulders pattern forming here with our breakdown, our test of supply, continuation down. Okay, now we have broken down from a descending triangle. The next moves here are very, very important, okay? Because if we don't get acceptance back into this triangle, back above the weekly level, the projected target takes us all the way down to 10,000, which also lines up in confluence with our area of supply demand, okay? So on the lower time frame, we are seeing some potential bullishness, okay? As we can see, Bitcoin did come into and tap slightly break below and is sitting within a weekly area of demand. Okay, I did see accumulation happen at these lows, and we've broken higher above this triangle. Okay, so the predicted target for this triangle is 19,319. Okay, now the thing is that the institutions have left a ton of liquidity above all these highs, and they also have potential orders within these imbalances that would need to be filled and cleared. Okay, so at some point Bitcoin is going to have to come up and run these highs to grab this liquidity. Okay, whether or not this is the move, this is the triangle breakout that gets us there, we don't know. Okay, but what we do know is that at some point it will happen. It has to happen. No markets go down or up forever. Okay, zooming out onto the weekly, if you do trade based off moving averages, the 20-day moving average is sitting here at about 26,739. Okay, zooming into the 4-hour time frame, we can see that this rise from this triangle hasn't been with really that impressive a volume. Okay, and you do have to factor in the fact that the market has been incredibly bearish, and it will probably continue to be so until it is not. Quite simply put, it sounds a little bit silly, but usually you just have to work with what the market gives you. Okay, so if you are in a trade from this breakout of the triangle, you could look to take partials in this area of supply and then run it to your triangle target. Okay, the Wycoffian redistribution pattern on the very, very high time frame could take a very, very long time to play out. Okay, and in the more local time frames, considering these markets are fractal, we could see a lot of potential patterns and ranging happen in this area before we do get confirmation of that pattern. It's just one thing to keep a lookout for. One thing we know for absolutely certain is that the bulls really need these lows to hold, because if they don't hold, we're going straight down to around the $10,000 area. Okay, I personally think we are due for some relief, and I believe that the liquidity will have to be taken from all these highs before we run the lows and continue down to 10,000. Okay, that's my general perspective of the market. But as we all know, crypto and Bitcoin is incredibly bullish in the very long term, and we are going to hit multiple six figures with the Bitcoin price. Whether or not that takes 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, it will happen. So if you like this analysis, you like this video, leave a comment on what you might want me to cover on the next one. Thank you for watching.